Welcome back, Pod People. My guest today is Mike Day, the director of Clawfoot, which is a very uncomfortable psychological thriller that, as I was watching it, I kept thinking about how, in many ways, it was kind of the opposite of the movie that I had watched directly before that, which was Creeping Death, which I interviewed the director of. Creeping Death is a very cozy, autumnal, Halloween themed film. This is a very awkward, uncomfortable, takes place in like bright summer sort of environments film. Creeping Death takes place at several locations around the town and it has an ensemble cast. This is almost just two characters. There are, I think, five characters. There are five characters.
Yeah.
But really like 90% of the movie is just the two characters. And so it was a fun little double feature there. I'm going to try to publish these two interviews close to each other because they're so different from each other, but I really enjoyed both of them.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. That would probably be more significant feeling if you've seen Creeping Death. I don't know if you have or not.
I'm adding it to the list actually. Yeah. So I'll definitely check that one out.
Yeah. So, so the thing that definitely was the strongest feeling I had throughout the majority of the film, especially the first half of the film, is just how awkward and uncomfortable the social situation was, and how so much of the horror of that came from, like, I've heard of a comedy of manners. This was like a horror of manners, where at first the main character, her house is being invaded by these handymen, just the one guy who's the other main character and his assistant who's occasionally in a few scenes. And she didn't hire them. They claim that her husband hired them. At the beginning of the film, it's ambiguous as to whether or not her husband actually did hire them. But in any case, she's too polite to directly tell them to just fuck off, leave, which she really clearly wants to. So I'd love to hear like that. Talk a bit about the psychology there of, like, normally in a psychological thriller, I feel like it preys on different psychological things than this sort of social awkwardness.
Yeah. And so that seems actually really important to us because, it's one of those things in a movie where it's so frustrating when the person lets the bad guy in. You're like, oh my God, why did you do that? Like, obviously they shouldn't be there. And so that was always a delicate scene because, as the movie progresses, you realize, oh, there's more to her than she lets on. And so that's why it was, you kind of have to suspend your disbelief for a little bit until, her layers start to peel back. Then you realize there's more than meets eye with her. And there is a reason why she let him in, because she thinks he's part of something else as well. And so she's just kind of playing her cards close to the chest as well, because she's not really sure what's going on. So she knows there's something up with this guy. She's not sure how he's connected to her world, but knows that he is somehow. And so that's why you'll see, like, she's very coy, very quiet, very like subdued, and just kind of like she's just processing the whole time. And then so that's why you see, as the movie progresses, she starts to peel back those layers. You start to see who she really is, and then you start to understand, her connection to this guy as well.
Yeah. So this is intended as a full spoilers podcast. People can listen to this to get a deeper understanding of the movie. Yeah. So I feel like we've given enough of the premise and enough of the vibe that if somebody's listening to this and they're interested in it and they don't want to know what the twists and turns are, they should go just watch the movie now. So can you go a bit more into what you mean about, like, her world and how she realizes that this guy's connected to it? Because when I was watching it, my understanding of it was that she was pretty disconnected from the criminal underworld that this guy and her husband were both involved in.
Yeah, yeah. So she's definitely disconnected. I guess what I meant is that she's aware of it. She's not in the dark. She knows her husband is up to some nefarious activities, money laundering, whatever it be. That that's what's paying for the house. So she's well aware that he's not, he wouldn't pass an IRS test, and so when she sees this contractor, that's pretty common for them to, launder money through contractors or like just some household work stuff where they can kind of just hide costs and things, and so it really is an actual invoice that her husband did sign off on. So that's where, or the work order. So that's why she receives it, and she's like, okay, well, this is definitely a signature. And it's just weird, usually they launder the money, but it's weird that this contractor is actually showing up to do the work. So that's why she's a little confused. It's like, well, if he's not laundering the money, maybe they really are getting a bathroom remodeled and her husband just didn't tell her. One of those situations where he just, you know has the money, wants to surprise her. And so that's why she's not sure, but she's, more leaning towards, well, something's off here. Why this guy probably isn't supposed to be remodeling the bathroom, but at the same time she has her husband tied up. So she's not sure what he knows. She's thinking he might be there for the husband. Like maybe somehow he was supposed to show up for something and he didn't. So she's like, all right, well, let me let him in. Let me see what I can find out. What he's trying to get after. And then that's like her. She's like, okay, I can try to figure this out. I can piece this together. Then she involves her, her lawyer friend, Tasha, and just thinking, I can try to find a way to outwit this guy and beat him at his own game, essentially.
When I was watching this, I kept thinking about something that I've talked with some female friends of mine several times in the past, where women are socialized to have difficulty saying no to men, and that, like, I'm not saying this is a universal experience that all women have, but I am saying it seems like it's a pretty common one.
Yeah.
And so the movie seemed like it was very much a commentary on that. um, and so it was somewhat surprising to me, going through the credits afterwards, like, oh, directed by a man. Um,
Yeah.
so tell me a bit about both that perspective and how your own perspective as a man contributed to the way that you directed the movie.
Yeah, I mean, well, first and foremost, I'd say I'm always just drawn to the female-driven films, whether it be a comedy, drama, thriller, what have you. So those always interest me. Like I'm a big fan, like in the comedy genre, like Paul Feig, and I've always like said I'd love to, just make these female-based films for some reason. I don't know why. I find them more interesting. There just always seems to be more layers to the character. If it's female, there's just more emotions attached. Usually, it's not so black and white, and there's a lot more that goes behind, what they're doing, what they're thinking, how they're processing the information. And so that's what always interests me, and that's why I really like female-driven projects to begin with. And then from my perspective, my wife, she's industry as well, and she's a production designer. And so I see firsthand all the time, just, it's she's in a man's world, first off, in the film world. And then as a production designer, she's always dealing with the directors, the producers, construction specifically, and even like the camera department, how they all interact. And it's just a really male dominated. And I see firsthand like how they just talk down to her, they talk over her, like, and she'll have an idea and they just kind of ignore it. And then someone else says the exact same thing, like, oh my God, that's a great idea. And she's sitting there like, are you fucking kidding me? And I see it firsthand. I'm like, this is mind blowing. And so, and then which, so I just was like, that's a great, I mean, again, it's, from my perspective, I'm just seeing it. I'm sure it's a lot different in her shoes and any other female shoes, but even just as a guy standing there, I'm like, this is crazy that you guys would just overlook her. And like, this is also for, I see this with other departments as well and other females. You just kind of see it. And it's like, that's just insane. And so I just, a lot of that just from even the film industry, I'm just pulling a lot of from there and just kind of putting it into the film of just how they treat and how they're like react to it and how they have to kind of just play along to try to get what they need out of it. So it's like a little chess game they have to play essentially just to get anything done.
Yeah, well put. So this was written by April Wolf, who is also the writer of the Black Christmas remake, which, sad to say, I haven't actually seen the remake version of that. I've only seen the original. But what was working with her like? Did you have much direct interaction with her, or did you just get handed a script?
Yeah, no, so I got handed a script. Oh no, she sent me the script because I know her. And so I loved it because it's contained. It's a few cast members, and with the company that financed it, like I knew they're looking for things like that. And so I just asked her if I could pass it along to see if they'd be interested. And they bit, which is great. And they only had one note was, all the flash fantasy kills that kind of happened throughout the film. those were never in the script. It was a lot more of just a slower burn up to, the twist in the middle. And so the financiers are like, hey, like we like this works, but we just need something in the first, act, the second act that kind of keeps the audience engaged with these, like make it more action. I'm like, well, we can't really make this action. This isn't an action movie. So I reached out to April. I'm like, hey, like essentially, here's the notes from the guys. Do you have any ideas? And she thought that idea. She's like, oh, what if she fantasized about killing him? So I'm guessing that's just something in her own life that she does. Try.
I was just gonna ask if that was what you were added. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was her idea, and she every time we went to her with something little, it was all just like little things like that, and she always just had the right answer, the right idea. We the dialogue 100%, like we didn't even like casted improv anything. We didn't change any of that. That's all her. She's such a fantastic writer and just really captured the voices of each character just perfectly. And so the back and forth of writing process, it really was just the minor stuff just to kind of make the financiers happy about with that little bit of more action stuff, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah. I think those little moments of fantasy served at least two good purposes. One is the one that you just outlined of adding little bursts of action to keep the audience engaged, and the other is you can put them in the trailer without actually spoiling anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And yeah,
um,
it just, I mean, it's a nice little breakup of, I mean, because it definitely is a slow burn, the first act and second act. And so it's just really nice that it did break it up. And it's also kind of like, kind of got into her psyche. And I mean, I'm sure all women feel this way when talking to a guy that's mansplaining something to them or talking down to them. It's like, oh my God, I want to fucking kill this guy. Like, shut the fuck up. so, so it was just kind of, yeah, I mean, I think it was perfect and worked great for the film.
yeah, yeah. It actually it reminded me of all things, it reminded me of The Uninvited, directed by Graydon Clark, which is a completely unrelated movie thematically and all of that. It's about a killer cat. And it also has this like really wild third act, but to keep you engaged leading up to the third act, there's a really steady rhythm of like 20 minutes of character dialogue and everything, and then all of a sudden the cat kills somebody, and then
It's a cat. Okay. Yeah.
um, and it just goes like that. And yeah, I find that kind of thing like I like to think that I have a little bit of a attention span still, but I do enjoy the little bursts of like, whoa, there's something really dramatic. Oh wait, okay, it's you know,
Yeah.
let's see how this fits in. Oh, it's a
Yeah.
fantasy, or oh, it's a
Yeah.
minor character or whatever. Um,
I was gonna say the inspiration for this movie actually was a different. Like, I know I have to check out that movie you just mentioned, but I know her inspiration was actually a Peter Weir film. It was like a TV movie called The Plumber. I think it was
oh,
from maybe the 70s or something. I have seen it because I ended up watching it, and it's it's an Australian, I think, TV movie where the guy just shows up to remodel a bathroom and just terrorize her, and it's a straight up like thriller but TV movie, and that was her inspiration for it. Was, hey, how do I modernize this and make this with like some fun like female characters and just kind of give it more of that female like empowerment to it all.
cool. Yeah, no, I haven't seen that. That's the movie that Peter Weir made right after Picnic at Hanging Rock, which I have seen.
Oh, I haven't
But
seen that one. Yeah, okay.
oh yeah, that one's a really well, I don't know how much you care about spoilers for that sort of thing, but
Also, you can tell me. You can spoil. I'll still. I can still watch
okay,
it. So.
okay. So it's a good but ultimately somewhat unsatisfying in my opinion movie because it's a mystery film where they never solve the mystery.
Oh, okay. Bold
So
move.
it was very controversial.
Yeah.
But it's good, well made, solid performances, amazing location that they shot at.
Yeah.
Um, and so speaking of the location, this is kind of a I always forget the film term for it, but in television we would call this a bottle episode, where it takes place basically entirely at a single location where you can probably shoot most of the things at that single location instead of having to fake together multiple locations to appear to be one. But I'm curious about that. Was this all shot at that one house, or is this actually like a combination of multiple houses and a sound stage or things like that?
Yeah. No, it was all one house. Yeah, we found a house just right outside of LA up in the valley, and it just checked off all the boxes. It had everything we wanted and needed to make it work. And yeah, 100% of that movie was shot there. Even the lawyer's house outside stuff that was shot in a different part of the yard of the main house. So yeah, we
Oh,
we
that's
actually
great.
never left that location at all.
Including when they're tearing apart the bathroom. Are they actually
Yeah,
tearing apart the real bathroom?
no, so it was actually a brick wall behind there, and if you look close, you'll see some of the bricks sticking out. We actually built a drywall up against it and like left about like 4 or 5 inches so they could just break into the drywall. And so we just,
Ah,
yeah, that just took an afternoon. Some construction guys came in, just put it up, painted it, and then and they like put the pipes in there and stuff as well before they like sealed it. And then we shot everything we needed up until that point, and then we let them go at it. And then yeah, so then when we were all done, we just pulled out that drywall, and bathroom was just like the way we started with it.
that's great.
Yeah, because yeah, that was going to be my biggest concern, was figuring out that piece. Because like, oh man, how are we going to let a house like really let us show like the guts behind the wall and things like that? And then um, my wife, the production designer, she's like, yeah, like she's like, oh yeah, we built a fake wall right in front of it. I was like, oh yeah, that's perfect then. Yeah, that's easy. Yeah,
And and then just don't get overly enthusiastic with the sledgehammer.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, uh, did your wife do production design on this film, or?
Yeah, she production designed it, and she also co-produced it with me as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, we
So,
were all. I mean, we had a very lean crew. It was super low budget, so we all wore a lot of hats.
yeah, so this was a low budget but not micro budget film, what I mean by that is 1 million or less, but not less than $100,000.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. This was $1 million budget. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. Um, how does that compare to the budgets that you're used to working with? Is that like about standard for you? Step up, step down?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a step down because I mean that's my first feature directing, but I mean I've been producing for a couple years now, and they all range from the lowest is usually around 2.5 and all the way up to like 10 million, with like 3 to 5 kind of being the sweet spot. So definitely had to call in a lot of favors, which I mean don't have done all these other low budget indies. I was able, I had a good a good Rolodex of crew members that I worked with that on multiple shows, and so it's like, hey guys, I have a chance to direct my first thing. No one's making any good money on this. You'll get a little bit of money, and we'll have some fun for 15 days. If you guys want to come out and have some fun, like I mean, some of the people weren't even getting paid like hourly. It was more of just like, hey, I'm gonna give you a flat fee just to come and design this whole thing, shoot this whole thing. Like it was just there was not enough money to kind of properly pay everybody. But they were all really good friends of mine. Like from the other producer Andrew, like my best friend. Everyone just kind of stepped up and it's like, yeah, we're here to support you, whatever you need, and really helped me get to the finish line. And I couldn't done it without such a great crew and cast. Like, everyone was just down to make a fun little indie, and we really did have a blast making it. It was just so much fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, this is releasing on today, actually, the day that we're recording this, September 23rd. Um, so
Yeah.
congratulations on that.
Yeah. Thank you.
This episode won't be live for a while. I release 2 interviews a month, but I might need to step that up at the rate I've been recording them. Um, so tell me a bit about the distribution and side of things, because like since you're an experienced producer, I imagine that's something you're relatively comfortable with. Whereas a lot of the people that I talk with are very much coming at this from the like, oh, I directed a bunch of short films and now I'm directing a feature, or I've directed a bunch of features, but they haven't really had a foot in the producing field.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that just kind of because like even before producing, my background is actually accounting and film. So I did that for like 10 plus years. I got advice from a producer a long time ago. It says, hey, if you want to be a good producer, understand how accounting works. So I just jumped in, and so like I know where every penny goes usually on a budget, and so I just I mean, I kind of lost track of where I was going with that, but like, so it's oh yeah, the distribution and producing everything. So yeah, it's just really about. I just knew I had to maximize. This is going to be my first chance to direct, and maybe my only chance. So I really just wanted to maximize as much as I could on camera, and I just knew I had to just call in every favor possible and make this look like, a $3 to $5 million movie, even though it was only 1 million. And so, because I mean, I know at the end of the day, like that's what's going to trigger sales and stuff. And you see a lot of these indie movies come out where it's like $1 million or less, and they really lean into the indie look and feel, like the low light, the handheld, all that stuff. And I was like, you know, the model's changing, the distributors are getting, they're seeing the same stuff over and over again. I was like, I need to show something that's going to really stand out, especially if we're going to be this low budget. So I was like, let's just make it look like a studio movie. Let's like, do good lighting, do good camera work. I was like, let's go in the opposite direction of indie. Let's not lean into it at all. And let's just go in the complete opposite direction and just call in, like I said, call in all the favors, got deals on camera packages, got deals on lighting gear and stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, that just kind of comes from the experience of seeing what these other movies are doing in sale wise and everything. I just really want to make sure that, Clawfoot was going to be an independent, low budget, is going to go straight to VOD and stuff. And I just wanted to make sure it stood out among the rest and just didn't look like an indie, low budget, film. I wanted to kind of look more like a studio was behind it.
Yeah, and it does. It looks very slick and like, uh competently shot and color graded and everything. Didn't look like you had to compromise on any of the visual or audio or anything like that, which is yeah, you knew how to stretch your pennies.
Yeah.
Um
I mean, and it's also, yeah, it's as simple as like also just like, I mean, that was me. Like I'm helped, like, I'm doing all the I'm not doing the VFX ones, but like I'm the one coordinating with the VFX editor just to try to, so I'm not paying a post guy to supervise all posts. I'm the guy doing post supervising, like, hey, I need VFX for this shot, and I'm like doing all the swaps in and out, like moving the media around for everybody, and just stay on top of it all, just so I could just, yeah, spend more money on VFX and not have to pay someone else to oversee it. So yeah, things like that just really help, so I could just spend the money where it need to go.
yeah, so I think a large part, going back to what we were talking about earlier, a large part of the awkwardness of all of it is in the performances and how um it was interesting as I was watching it at the beginning, when I don't know any of the twists or turns yet, I don't know who these characters are. I'm getting to know them as they're doing these things. Um, I found myself wondering, like, okay, the woman really clearly doesn't want this handyman here. Is that clear to him? Like, is this guy just oblivious and she's trying to cover something up, or is this guy trying to force his way into her home? I couldn't tell. And I was wondering, like, uh trying to read their performances, and all of the things in their performance made sense in retrospect once everything got revealed. And so I was impressed with sort of the layers of subterfuge there. And so can you tell me about casting those two?
Yeah, it's the financiers have a good relationship with their agents, and they were both looking, they're both kind of like, Francesca, she's done a couple movies like MFA being like a standout of hers, and then Milo, he's kind of still trying to rack up the credits. And ironically, he used to be an electrician. Then like decided, hey, I'll go into acting like the rest of my family. And so he hasn't done that many movies himself either. So this was just something for them both to kind of be the lead in. So Yale kind of, that was the finance guys. They pitched it to the agents like, hey, they're both going to be like really big leads in this. If they'll do it for a low budget indie, this would be really good for them, and this would be really good for Mike, the director. It was kind of like, hey, you help us, we'll help you type situation. And well, I mean, they didn't need the help. It's more me getting help. And then, so they're all like, "Oh yeah, we like. Well, this looks like this is a great script. Like they'd like to do it, but they're not sure who this Mike Day guy is. Let's interview." Like so, basically, they interview me to make sure they trusted me to direct it. And so, yeah. So once we did that, and like they're just fully on board, and like they understood the characters, the script, and they just loved it themselves, and they just brought so much to the screen, in such a subtle way too, and they're just fantastic to work with.
Great. In a movie, it's really important, in any movie, for the audience to care about the characters. And in non-horror, non-thriller films, this usually means that we want the audience to like the characters. But in a horror or a thriller, it's also fine for the audience to hate the characters as long as they care about what's going to happen to them. And uh and I kind of hated every character in this movie. Like, like they're just
Yeah.
all assholes in one way or another.
Yeah.
Um and I kept uh so tell me a bit about both, like, the decision to make all of the characters like that, or was I supposed to like some of the characters in
I mean,
um
at,
yeah,
at the end of the day, they're all bad guys. They're all like, if anything, the most likable might be the Sammy. The help. The guy that's just more worried about the food and the dieting. But yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that was kind of the commentary also that we're trying to make is like everyone's just trying to get by. It's like the economy is what it is. Everyone has an angle. Everyone's just trying to squeeze, the juice out of, everything they can. And it's more of like this is the society we live in now. It's like this is where we are, where everyone just has to figure out a way to take care of themselves any way possible, regardless of the outcome or the consequences. And so that was kind of what we wanted to do. It's like, yeah, they're not supposed to be likable because they're all bad guys, but at the end, it's like we wanted to still kind of find a way to, root for the Janet character in the sense of like, well, at the end of the day, she really did just love her husband, regardless of what she did to him and all this stuff, and she really did just want him not to leave her. And so that's kind of at the end of it was our like little cherry on top was like, well, at the end, like you should love, or like in root for love, if anything, and that she can somehow make this work and not have to kill him, but she does. So,
Yeah, so okay, so tell me about what sort of techniques you use to get the audience to actively dislike these characters instead of just be feeling indifferent towards them.
yeah, like with Leo, it was just the typical mansplaining, the talking down, the not taking no for an answer. It's like, hey, my husband's not here right now. He's like, okay, well, I was waiting in the driveway till he does come. I'm not leaving. And then like when she's working on the bolognese, like he just shows up and ruins it. Just just being the dick that guys can be sometimes, and just kind of walking over people. And then with Janet, it was just, kind of playing into that, the gold digger aspect, that we're all kind of familiar with, and just kind of playing up that trophy wife gold digger. And then that's how we wanted it to start out. But then you see as the layers, peel off that, maybe that was her intention at one point, but she really did fall in love with this guy and did want to, stay married to him and make it work. But so we just kind of wanted to play with that, that type of character and like kind of let that evolve essentially.
Okay.
And then with Tasha being a lawyer, it was like, well, she has that one line there. You can't be a good criminal lawyer without being a good criminal. And it's like, but sometimes like you wonder like how does some of these people get representation? Like they're obviously guilty, but like sometimes these lawyers just like it's a game to them. Yeah, they might be guilty, but I can, the law is the law, and I can get them off, and by through these loopholes. And so it's just another little shady thing in our system that works. And so that's her angle. And so they all kind of just have a different angle of trying to get by.
Yeah. All right. So it sounds like you came at this production with a really solid game plan in mind, and didn't have anything big that threw you off the way that some of the other folks I've spoken with had like an actor disappear or things like that. Uh, um, but even so, I'm sure you learned some things during the production of it. So if you were to travel back in time to the beginning of production or pre-production, knowing everything that you know now, what would you do differently?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that we always got hung up on, I'd say, is, and this is something I didn't realize how important this was, I guess, naively, was the blocking. Just like talking with the cast and like being in a
Oh,
space and just understand because it's these are like it's a big kitchen, like there's always like two or three people, they're moving around, and because we're also just in one location the whole time, and so it's very important to me that the location never felt stale or recycled, and that we were constantly kind of seeing it from a new angle, even if it's the kitchen where now we're shooting over here now or this direction and seeing this side of it. So luckily it did turn out the way I wanted, but I mean on the shoot days we spent more time trying to figure out the blocking of it and where the camera is angled. Then I mean I wish I would have spent more time prepping that, so I had more time with the actors, with their deliveries and stuff. Even though they ended up doing a great job and crushed it, and I'm super happy with that too. So in the end, like I ended up getting, I had my cake and I got to eat it too. But I was definitely stressed every day. It's like, oh man, it's like I wish I would have spent more time figuring out the blocking and figuring out these angles so that we're not repeating. Like we're in the kitchen again. How do we shoot this differently this time? And then me and the DP would spend like 20-30 minutes just trying to figure that out before bringing the cast in, so then they could then walk it out and figure things out for themselves. So yeah, that's one thing I'm much more aware of going into the future with.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So this is a just under 90-minute movie. How long was the shoot?
It was a 14-day shoot.
Okay. Okay, so you're getting about 10, uh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're averaging anywhere from like 7 to 10 pages a day.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah. Did you end up, filming anything that you cut out?
Yeah, there actually were a handful of scenes that we cut. And then like there was even like an ending where she gives, where her and her lawyer are talking to the media. Like it becomes like a media frenzy, almost like an OJ case. And she's
No.
talking to yeah, and she's talking to the media, and we made it really and this is my fault, and we put it in there, and I remember the sales guy's like, "Hey, this is too funny. Like you lean too much into the comedy of this." He's like, where the rest of the movie is a dry comedy, and this was just kind of more like LOL comedy. And I didn't realize that at the time. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Like this doesn't fit at all. And so we cut that, and then there's just a few other just like little pieces in between scenes and stuff that kind of help connect things. But when looking at it whole, you're like, oh, this is just slowing this down, and we really just want to kind of get to the second act where, or like the middle of the second act where shit starts hitting the fan. And so it's more about just trying to find that pacing to get to the action quicker, because it was starting to drag with some of the stuff that we had in there. It was just little things like just, I don't even remember what they were now, but just like a little walk and talk scene or something stupid.
Okay. Yeah, that description of the alternate ending sounds a lot like, Serial Mom, which have you seen that one?
No, that sounds awesome though. I love that title.
Oh, yeah, no, it's great. It's a John Waters film, probably
Oh,
his
okay.
most I think it's his biggest budget one, uh, and yeah, it's, like, picture perfect, Leave It to Beaver, suburban America, and also the mom, like, kills everyone who offends her.
I love that.
But, and it ends with, like, the final act is, it turns into, like, a courtroom comedy, um,
Oh,
and so, yeah, I think if you had left that original ending, then you would have gotten a lot of comparisons to that directly, because 'cause they're both, like, suburban housewife kills people and then courtroom comedy.
yeah.
Um, so, yeah, probably for the best to go with the one that you did go with.
Yeah.
Um
And if it like the ending we have too, like that final shot of her like, getting into the blood with him, that wasn't even the ending actually. It just kind of usually ended with them with the delivery guy, it just ended. And then we were sitting there and Nestor was laying in all the blood or whatever. And me and DP were just like, this is just, there's something cool here. We don't know what this shot will be. This might be nothing. I was like, let's just get a shot of her just like getting into the blood and laying with him. Cause like in my mind, I'm like, she still loves the guy. She's gonna like doesn't want to lose him. And so we just set the camera real quick and just shot that shot of her like crawling under his arm into the blood with him. And I was like, I don't know, this probably won't be anything. Let's just leave it. And then the editor had the idea, is like, what if then we like kind of piece it all together. And he's like, what if that's just the final shot, like of her just, going back in. And then we shot that scene with her and Tasha in the car saying, hey, I'll be right in. So then we started piecing it together that way. But yeah, like that was a ending that we kind of just shot without knowing what it was going to be yet.
Yeah, yeah, mentioning the delivery guy, that was really the only part of the movie that kind of brought me out at all, because, like, before that, she seemed so in control of at least her own actions, and, like, she really seemed like she thought through everything and planned for contingencies, and even when things were out of her control, it was because the other guy was, like, forcing that, and they were in this conflict with each other, whereas it's like walking up to the delivery guy covered in blood seemed like kind of an unforced error, like, she didn't, so I'm curious about the decision to have that scene be in the movie. Like, what are we supposed to take away from that?
Yeah, actually, it was originally written for him to get killed. Actually, they were going to kill him, and we just ran out of time to do that, and so that was just a quick fix. It was like it was originally going to be like, well, we can't let him live. He's seen too much now. He saw too much, and so. But yeah, we ran out of time, and so it's like, well, what's the alternative to this? It's like, well, what if we just lean into this little, like, what if she's just starting to lose it now? I mean, which she kind of was at that point. It's like, so what if she's just like all right, I'm covered in, like, yeah, not really. Now she's kind of like not thinking about her actions, and she's just kind of gone off the deep end. And so we kind of just leaned into that. It's like, okay, let her just kind of have this little fun little moment with the delivery guy, and let him play the straight guy. Like, what the fuck? What am I looking at? So,
Yeah. Yeah, I was really wondering if she was going to, kill the delivery guy in order
yeah,
to try to cover her tracks there, but and when she didn't, I was like, "Oh, still behaving morally, I guess,
yeah,
in some ways."
yeah. And that was, yeah, that was like we would. It's written that way. It would have been fun to actually, like, we were actually gonna have him get like run over by the car too and stuff, and then we just,
Mm.
yeah, we ran out of time doing the Milo sequence of down the street, down the road and stuff, and just we had to make compromise on that one. But like again, like it's, but it doesn't feel like a compromise now. Like I kind of enjoy it, that little beat, and just like, yeah, he does deserve to live. Like, let him go.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, this got me curious. It almost I don't know why it makes me feel this way, but something about the movie almost made me feel like I was watching, uh, like a pilot for a television show. Where I was
Mm,
like, I wanna see where these what these characters do next, because
yeah.
like, the her and the lawyer, like, I half expected it's like, "Alright, episode 1 is over, episode 2, who are they gonna kill in this next one?"
Yeah. And then, yeah, I've definitely kicked around some ideas like, well, now they're on the run. Now it's like Thelma and Louise style, or maybe it's like they're, maybe now the mob bosses are coming after them and now they got to kill all these guys. Like, there's definitely a lot of avenues to take with it for a second episode. So,
Yeah, awesome. So what are you, well, tell me a bit about the plan for the release of this. It's coming out today. Is that just on transactional video on demand, or how should people watch this?
yeah, so right now it's strictly transactional, and you can find it on any platform where you can rent or buy, from like AT&T, Spectrum, Apple, Hulu, not Hulu, I'm sorry, Amazon, like Google, the ones where you can pay to watch or rent.
Right.
So it'll live there for a few weeks, and eventually it'll make its way to a streamer.
Okay. Oh, you've already got plans for a specific subscription-based video on demand, or
No, I just know they're in talks, and they haven't given me much details beyond that. Just like, oh yeah,
okay.
it'll get there, it'll make its way there at some point. Like, okay, just keep me posted.
Is that you handling less of the, production side of things on this one? Or do you when you produce a film, do you also, like are you more hands off in the distribution aspect of things?
Yeah, so usually what I do is I usually take a movie through post, to get picture lock and sound and delivery, and then once we hand off to distributors, I'm kind of hands off at that point, and
Okay.
it's out of, like, yeah, it's out of my control, and they do what they want with it essentially.
That's really interesting. I wonder if that's coming from you working in more mainstream film production than most of the people that I talk to, because most of the people that I talk to who are like a director are also the producer of their film, are also frequently the writer of the film, and they are very hands-on in the distribution phase of things because sometimes because they have like really strict artistic vision about how it should be distributed, but that's kind of rare.
Mm.
But more often, I think because they just don't trust anyone else to do it.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely a black hole of, yeah, you don't know who to trust, like, because you guys sell all the different territories around the world and stuff. But
yeah.
luckily Yale has a sales team that's in-house, so that just handles it all. So,
Ah, that's good.
and yeah, and so with all the movies I produced with them in the past, I've seen firsthand how well they handle it and get it out there. And I think a lot of the movies end up on Hulu. So at the end of the day too. So I'm like, okay, I know that they do a good job getting it to the right places, getting the eyes on it. And so, yeah, so like I just, had full trust in them, and yeah, they're doing a great job with it.
Cool. Do you happen to know how much Hulu pays for, like, I'm guessing Hulu's paying like a 6-month North America exclusive contract or something along, change a few of those variables, but something
Yeah.
like that.
That's actually out of my, like, even on the ones, like, by the time I hand it off, like, that happens well after I
Okay.
hand off the film. So I'm not even, yeah, part of those conversations. So yeah, I wouldn't even know what to guess, I guess.
All right. Well, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's interesting thinking about how the financial side of things has changed so much over the decades. I've read
Yeah.
a lot of different directors' autobiographies, and every single one of them has some part in there about how they got screwed out of a huge amount of money by some distributor at some point.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and most of those are from like the 70s or 80s, but even more recent ones, I've talked with people who have experienced similar things in just the past few years. Um, so it's really cool that you're working with a production company that's able to do that sort of thing in house. I think that really reduces the risk of that
Yeah.
deliberate malevolence.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's definitely some funny movie accounting going on behind the scenes with a lot of people. So you got to be careful for sure.
Yeah. So I would ask about like home media and stuff, but I'm guessing that's still in the you're just going to let them make whatever decisions seem appropriate from their point of view.
Yeah. Yeah. They kind of just handle that and basically what it's basically like, hey, Mike, this is what we're doing with it now. I'm like, okay, like it's not so much like, hey, how do you feel? It's like, hey, no, we're doing this because this is how we maximize our dollars. It's like, okay,
Right.
yeah.
That makes sense.
But the nice
Cool.
thing about that is, so like their goal is, I mean, inherently is just to get as many eyes on it, and that's my goal. I want, it's however they whatever deals they have to do. So like, at the end of the day, the more people that see it, the more money they can make. So it's like I know their intentions are right, and like at the end of the day, like it's a low budget movie. It's not going to make no one's getting rich off this one. So at the end of the day, the best I can
Right.
hope for is that as many people see it as possible, and that's what I'm going for.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there is a bit of a trade-off there in terms of how many people see it versus how much money you make. Because, like, starting out with transactional video, fewer people are going to watch it, but you'll make more money from each person who does.
Right.
But then you'll move on to other things. Like if it gets on Hulu, yeah, I bet it'll get a lot of views.
Yeah.
Um,
So that's why, yeah, that's my ultimate goal is just I want as many people to see it as possible because I love the movie. I'm so happy with how it turned out and with what we accomplished. And yeah, it's just a fun little ride for me. I'm really proud of it.
that's great. So, one question that I always like to ask near the end of these interviews is, where do you see the future of independent film going?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like I'm just like from what I'm seeing from where I'm sitting right now, it's micro budget. It's like they're actually the budgets are getting even smaller right now. Like there's just too much content and there's too many streamers. You even see the streamers starting to kind of condense and starting to consolidate. Um, but yeah, like so right now you're starting to see like it's weird. It's like the middle class of the indies is going away. It's like they either gotta be like the micro budgets like done for like $1 to $250,000, or it's going to be like a $10 to $15 million movie. There's that middle ground. It's kind of it's interesting. Like so from what I'm seeing, it's slowly getting smaller and smaller and less getting made. So
Hmm.
which I'm very fortunate that I had the opportunity to make this before that happened. So I'm very grateful for that, and I'm hoping that like maybe next year things start to shift back. It's like, okay, yeah, the micro budgets, we got those out of the way. Now let's which good micro budget done great is great too, but I don't want to lose out on the $1 to $5 million movies, and because I don't know, a lot of good stuff comes out of that where you can, yeah, well, there's a lot of great writers and directors out there that can make these little indies and that we need, and if no one's going to finance those, then we're going to lose a lot of great films.
Yeah. Okay. So to make sure I'm understanding what you just said correctly, you're saying we're getting more $10 to $15 million movies than we have been recently. Like you think those are on the upswing?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say more. It's though. But what's happening? What I'm seeing with like the Yale guys and how they're financing, it's like they're now focused on. There's these micro budget. They just did a slate of like 5 micro budget films for like two hundred
Right.
thousand each, and
Yeah.
now they're looking to do like a $10 million one. So as opposed to doing three
As
to
opposed to the
five,
1 to 5. Right.
yeah,
Okay.
and a
Okay.
handful of those, they're looking to do just one of those. So you're going to see a drastic cut, like downswing of the 2 to 5 million one. You're going to start seeing more companies just pump out 1 to 2 $15 million movies a year now. So I don't know if it's going to be,
Interesting.
yeah. So I guess I don't know if you'll see more of those or if that's just more. It's the same number, and you're just going to see less of the indie ones. I guess I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure how that'll essentially play out, but from what I'm seeing, that's kind of where these companies are starting to put their money
That's fascinating because
because
I don't think anybody's ever said that to me before. Because everyone else has been saying, like, we're getting rid of all of the mid-range movies, the 10 to 30, 40 million, are disappearing, and now we're only getting like $1 to $5 million or like $100 million plus
Oh,
movies. Like the huge there's tons of huge blockbusters that don't need to be huge blockbusters.
right.
Um, but and there's like uh low budget films that can be produced at a low budget, and so they are. And then there's weird micro budget indie shit that I watch, which which I've mostly seen be sort of independent of that broader studio um, system. But you're talking about stuff being made by like a really small studio, which is interesting. Most of that's different from how most of the people that I talk to are working. They're working much like even more independently than that. Um,
Yeah.
so
Because yeah, I mean, the one thing that we're seeing more than anything is, we had that influx where it's like, hey, let's get, Bruce Willis for 2 days and put him in the movie, put him on the poster.
oh
And like
yeah, the
that was,
geezer teasers.
yeah, and that was all the to $5 million movies. And now the
Oh really? Okay.
distributors, yeah, and they're like, yeah, like half that budget would go to like the Bruce Willis, then you make the rest of it for like, two, 1.5 million, $2 million. And but
Okay.
now
Okay.
the distributors are like, hey, like people don't want these anymore. Like they're onto this. Like they know that Bruce Willis is only in like a couple scenes, and so now they're saying if you're gonna do a lower budget movie and have a Bruce Willis type in it, we want to see Bruce Willis in the whole movie now. And so that means to get that type of person, that's same with like a John Travolta or whatever. Like he's if you want him in the whole movie, now you need to up that budget to a $10 to $15 million movie, and because you're only going to pay that $2 million for like a couple days or a week of his time. So, but the distributors don't want that now. They're like, yeah, the audience is onto this. They get that we're just putting a guy's face on a poster, so to speak. So that's why we're, for at least from our company that we're seeing, is that yeah, like they don't want that anymore. And so that means we have to get John Travolta in like a $10 to $15 million movie, or we have to do a micro budget movie to make things work.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Or I
So
mean, or if you get or if you get one of those guys to do a just straight up like a 2.5 $5 million movie, great. But I mean, if you can, if they can take, if they're willing to take that pay cut, then yeah, then it works too.
yeah, I'm thinking about like two movies that just came out and trying to think about them in terms of the ways you're describing this. Um well, one movie that just came out and one movie that's about to come out. So The Substance, which I haven't seen yet, but everybody's talking about and it sounds great. Um that was about a $15 million movie, and it looks like an indie film like lots and lots of indie films that I've seen, but I've heard of at least two of the like star actors before, and so I bet a bunch of the money went towards them, and I hadn't even thought about that. I'd been thinking of it as a low budget indie film, but now I look up the actual stats on it. It's like, oh no, $17 million budget. That's definitely not nothing.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other one, which seems to be like the one real huge holdout in that category that you say is going away or diminishing at least of the $1 to $5 million movies, is the Terrifier series.
Hmm.
With Terrifier 3 has a budget of $2 million, and but that's doesn't have any big name actors in it, and it's all a huge amount of the things of the technical tasks were done by the director Damien Leone.
Ah.
Um, and so yeah, it's interesting. Like both of those
Well,
are indie special effects heavy horror films, and one of them cost like 8 times as much, probably because of the big name actors in it.
yeah. And now in the Terrifier ones, the reason it doesn't need to be, you don't need the names or the big names and pay a lot, is because it's IP. Now you're like you already have the built-in audience. You already know people that they've seen the first two. They're gonna check this one out hopefully. And
Yeah,
so that's kind of where you can then just run the numbers. But yeah, maybe I don't need a big name because we already have the audience looking for this movie, looking to check this one out.
yeah. And the Terrifier series is actually kind of turning David Howard Thornton into a bit of a name. I know he got cast in the mean one as
Hmm.
off-brand the Grinch. I'm certain because they saw him in Terrifier.
Yeah.
Uh, if you could get like, a grant that would only go to a single actor's salary, and so you could hire basically anyone to be in your otherwise low budget film, uh, who would you want to hire?
I mean, I've always, this is, I mean, yeah, I'd love Denzel Washington. I've always putting him on screen, like especially like putting him in like a low budget, like something. Yeah, I would love to make that happen somehow, which I don't think I ever will, but he's on the, like, it would be Denzel, I'd say.
All right,
Yeah,
good choice. I like that.
yeah.
Um, cool. So what are your plans next now that you've wrapped on Clawfoot?
Yeah, so I'm actually in post on right now on a World War II espionage thriller that I directed.
Ooh.
And so it's like the complete opposite genre. And this one has this one has John Cusack, Mira Sorvino, Brianna Hildebrand, and in it, and Jake Abel. And it's just it's like a fun little, it's another pretty contained movie to this little farmhouse, in the surrounding areas in upstate Connecticut, and it takes place during World War II, and it's about some mysterious transmissions that are being leaked from the government offices and stuff, and just trying to figure out who the mole is, during the height of World War II, right before D-Day, and just make sure their plans aren't compromised. And so that comes out in January. So we're still wrapping that up right now, and it's getting down to the wire. So yeah, finalizing that and getting excited to get that out next.
Awesome. So
Yeah,
you're in post-production on that, you said.
yeah.
Are you in pre-production on some other project after that, or?
Yeah, actually, and then I fly out to Alabama next week. Actually, I'm directing a rom-com. Actually,
Oh,
um,
man.
yeah, and so this is another completely new genre, which I love comedies though too. So, and this one we're filming in Alabama, and it's like it's kind of like a Sweet Home Alabama type, which is like a rom-com, fish out of water, going to a small little town, not fitting in, and then kind of falling in love, and it's been a lot of fun just kind of prepping this one where it's just like, yeah, it's just like, where's the comedy, like, and it's not worried about any actions, or like the storyline's pretty straightforward and simple, not trying to figure out like the layers and stuff. It's more of like, hey, how do we make this as funny as possible? And so that's so yeah, I fly out in like 2 weeks to go do that one in Alabama, so I'm excited for that.
How did you end up, directing 3 such different films in such rapid succession?
Yeah, honestly, I've just been so fortunate. The Fog of War one that came through Yale as well, where that one they already had like John on the hook to be in it. They had a lot of things, a lot of pieces moving, and they had a director they were talking to who's a friend of mine, and then he had another bigger project that he couldn't miss out on, so he had to go do that one. So he's like, "Hey, why don't you talk to Mike Day? Like, he can do low budget, and he can probably make this work and really make it, really give you a lot of bang for your buck." And so I read the script, like, yeah, I love this. I can make this work for this low budget. And then I had to kind of talk to the cast again, jump through all the hoops and win everybody over. And so yeah, that was just kind of being at the right place at the right time and just kind of helping a friend out. And I mean, it worked in my favor. So I'm super excited about that. And
That's
then
great.
with the yeah, and then with this rom com, actually, during some like screenings and stuff, another producer saw it and just he's like, "Oh wow, you can do a lot with a little." And like we kind of have a rom com that it's gonna be the same scenario. We're gonna need to do a lot with little. We want this to kind of look like a studio film. Would you be interested? I was like, well, let me take a look at it. And so I read it, and it was a fun little rom com. Like, oh yeah, like let's go make this. And it's like, all right, great. And so that Clawfoot actually got me that one. So I'm happy about that.
Oh, that's cool. I'm always glad to hear that people's, current movies opening up more opportunities for their next movie.
Yeah.
All right, so Clawfoot, you can find it anywhere where you can buy or rent a movie to stream. Do you have any social media or other websites you'd like to point people towards?
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram is just at Mike Day Films, and you can just kind of follow me and see what I'm up to, and just yeah, follow the movies I'm working on, either from directing or producing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking with me.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I had a great time. Appreciate it.
Good.